My grandfather was the house help of this person called SP Jain. SP Jain today is a big MBA college, right? So the SP Jain actual guy, my grandfather was his, like, used to make his bed and whatever, like all this thing. Web3 is not saying कि ये social media world बनाएंगे हम. So that problem is already solved. Twitter, Facebook, सब कुछ है. But how those platforms are built, how those problems have been solved is what Web3 stands for. Every friend of mine, like some of my friends actually started making fun of me later on in my life, like when I was engineering or graduating from the engineering and all that, and my mom knows it all that. Everyone, I used to say only one thing, that I'm going to be a very big man. A lot of Indian entrepreneur led teams will come and they will become global brands in the next 5-7 years. So that is also a biggest opportunity for India.
Anywhere in the world today, if you talk about Web3, if you talk about cutting edge and future and who is defining building and the startup which stands for it globally, it is Polygon. It is the company that you founded, you built. And it is a matter of great pride for all of us, because हम कह सकते हैं ना सर उठाकर एकदम चौड़े होकर कि this is an Indian founder and a multinational startup already, right? Because you're in Switzerland, you're across the world. But today the conversation that I'm going to have is not primarily about Polygon, but about the journey. Because what is interesting, and especially in today's time, right? क्योंकि हमने 2 साल बहुत euphoria देखा. This is all said and done a down market. It's humans who build companies, who build organizations, who are building Web3. And what is the journey of a human? And what is the journey? People, I was talking to your team members. Everyone loves you in the ecosystem. It's not just a powerful company that you're building. You're also building culture. You're also building example. You're also an example for a lot of young people. Let's begin today our conversation, and if we could keep it very open and transparent, take us through your journey. क्योंकि मुझे सुनने में आया है कि you were born in Ramnagar, you are from Nainital, a boy from Nainital, today present across the world. Tell us कैसे छोटे शहर से आकर you've lived this dream. Take us through your journey.
My family is sort of like a peasant family, like the farmer family. But they also, like in Uttarakhand, even the farming is not that great, right? So what people do is people generally migrate into these big cities and they do menial jobs. So, my grandfather was the house help of this person called SP Jain. SP Jain today is a big MBA college, right? So the SP Jain actual guy, my grandfather was his, like, used to make his bed and whatever, like all this thing. So that's the family I come from. And then I was born in Ramnagar, Nainital. Nainital is a big district, and Ramnagar is the very small town where this is the Corbett National Park is based out of. So there I was born, and I was born also, like, recently I had my first kid. And one of the craziest thing that happened is that I was discussing with my mom, because I was born in the house, like my family did not have, like, I think they don't I don't know, like the kids happen or were born in house only. And the other thing was that I was a breech baby, like the people who understand, like the breech baby, my head was up, so I came first, right? And in the modern medical stuff, like if there's a breech baby, they will immediately do the C-section, right? Because there's a chance of babies getting stuck. So after my baby was born, I spoke with my mother that this was the, like, this happened, and she said that okay, he started crying fast, like my child, like Adi, and she said, you were not even crying for first 5 minutes. And like when we explode mode, actually there is a possibility that I could have been stillborn, right? Because when I got born, like, because what happened is that the bed, the charpai where she was giving me my birth, that charpai actually broke also in between. So she also was like, of course there's not that much. So that's the craziest thing, like, I recently learned about myself, because that there is a high probability, because I actually checked like I actually watched this Netflix documentary, How to Change Your Mind, and there is a guy who actually does some psychedelic thing and all that, and realizes that during his birth, he was actually the cord was stuck in his this thing and all that. So that's the crazy thing. But anyways, like I recently got to know that because I was not crying for first 5 minutes and all that. So then my family migrated to Delhi, and then that's where I studied. In a I come from Jamnapar in Delhi, which is like a kind of ghetto area and all that. So, but I studied in a school, like a small school over there, which was till 8th class. And then I joined another school and all that. And then after that, I did my engineering. I wanted to crack IIT. I could not because, like I was not brilliant enough to do it without any coaching and, all this kind of support you need. So, but I think like, this, I don't know, wait list or whatever, that this was also a very important part of my life, because I still remember that I got this offer from this TS Chanakya. TS Chanakya is basically you give IIT JEE exam. The people who don't get into IIT, the wait list people, kind of they get that offer from TS Chanakya, training ship Chanakya for Navy. And everybody was like, there's a lot of money in this. You make like 4-5 lakhs, no tax and all that. And I was like, that time I had seen Mark Zuckerberg on some television interview, like this thing, right? And I said like, no, no, yeah, अपनी Facebook बनाए, अपनी Facebook बनानी है अपने को. So then I took computer science in this college called Maharaja Agresed. It's a pretty good college, especially in the Web3 side. A lot of good talent is coming out from
So
there.
when you thought that you have to do something of your own, you would be what, 16, 17 years of age?
Yes. But see, one thing, like that's what people keep asking me constantly, that what was your vision, that you wanted to do this, that. And like my vision was, I had no vision actually, to be honest. I had only one thing in my mind, and that is like this. Every friend of mine, like some of my friends actually started making fun of me later on in my life, like, when I was engineering or graduating from the engineering and all that. And my mom knows it, all that. Everyone, I used to say only one thing, that I'm going to be a very big man. Like I will do something big. I don't know what I'll do, but I'll do something big. And that was the only guiding light. Like if you ask me, like that time I didn't even know about Web3. I didn't even know about anything like related. To be honest, like even the Facebook, I thought I will build. By the time I graduated from engineering, like social networks were already like kind of saturated market and all that, right? So, but I knew only one thing, that, that I'm going to do something big. And that's the only guiding light, like that part has driven so many critical decisions in my life, where I was having a very good setup. I was making, like, coming from that abject poverty background. Now I'm making good money, where my family can live with respect and all that, and I can marry off my sister and things like that. But I still, took the call of shutting down that business, that no, this, I will get stuck here. I don't want to be here. So that is one of the things that have helped me always. So after my engineering, then I did my MBA from NITI Mumbai, which is now becoming IIM Mumbai. And all this while, like, good part is at least Indian, like people don't, like we are Indians are also like, we are always bashing our system and all that. But, I always studied on these loans, and banks were able to give me loans and all that. And I think that's a good enough opportunity area, that if you try, banks will give you loan for that engineering and all that, for my MBA also. And then I graduated. Then for some time I worked with Deloitte. Again, like it was very clear in my mind that they are again sending me into something where I don't want to go. I will not go. I'll resign. Then joined, like I got a very good profile with Wellspun Group in a head of e-commerce and things like that. And then I joined that. But in 1 year, I realized that, okay, I'm good at this. Like I'm running the business, but on behalf of some other company, right? So I realized that I'm good at this. But the main thing was that main support factor for me to come main full time, because previously also before that I had done multiple part-time startups. The main thing was my wife. That time, we were still dating, and I said that, I have to have some job so that I can buy some house on mortgage and all that. And when we get married and all that, like I have to have a house, right? In India, that it's a kind of a cliche, like if you're marrying someone and he lives on a rented house, and she said, like, fuck the house, right? Like, we'll live in the rented house and all that. But you do this because otherwise you are in this job where you are putting in everything. Plus you are doing part-time startup. You don't have time for me and all that, right? So She said, go and do it. And then from that day, I took 2 weeks. 2 weeks, I chalked down my plan, got some angel investment, resigned, started that startup, where B2B startup. I had scopeweaver.com and all that. And, then the journey further were from there. But, these few were some of the very critical points. Like, had I gone into merchant navy, I would have made some good money there. But, I don't think that I feel that there it's very hard to kind of do something on your own. And
I was just thinking, if you had gone to merchant navy, you would have gone to the shores, but you're going to all the shores with Web3. Can you take me to your childhood? कि घर में conversations क्या थे, माहौल क्या था? Because somewhere, I really, I'm studying this psychology thing that childhood shapes us. वो जो कीड़ा होता है या जो जुनून होता है, somewhere that seeding happens in our early days. Take us to the childhood कि ये बड़ा बनने का चीज़ कैसे आया? क्यों आया?
So I think, the exact line I used to say to my family members and mom and even my friends and all that it's actually not like कि बड़ा बनना है, but it was like कि छोटा नहीं करना है, छोटा नहीं खेलूंगा मैं. I will not play small. And I think from the early childhood also, the earliest memories, like even my mom also tells, and I also remember that I used to hate losing, right? So I think what used to happen is that I used to play maybe carom with my father and all that, and he used to play very well, right? And sometimes he will deliberately, or not even sometimes, most of the times he'll deliberately lose to me, right? And then at that point I was like, okay, I can beat him, like everybody else, they can't beat him, so by inference I should beat everyone else, right? And then they will beat me, like the bigger kids, and I will like cry my heart out, and then my mom is consoling me and everybody, like that. I think that's the very early childhood days. And then once I joined the school, like generally in my whole family, after me, my younger sister is engineer, but beyond that, I don't think most of the people even went to college, right? Like that's not the culture at all. Like you basically go to 8th or 10th class, and then after that you join some job, some menial job. That's my entire clan, right? And I think when I went to school, there I think the first time I came first. So this thing, like I'm the first, right? So that, I think, again, like these things like kind of combined and consolidated in my mind that no, I have to be the first. And for the longest time in my school journey and all that, I would always be the first. And that actually has given me a lot of pain also eventually. Like that is also a very important part, which kind of like from me, from us being Matic to like like a small, like one of the thousands of companies, to becoming Polygon. I think that also this journey where I had to let go of that skin, like the way, like you have to let go of that and then choose something else to go to the next front. I think that is also a very interesting thing, but we'll discuss once we come to that.
I want you to unearth in a very unfiltered way initial days जहाँ पे rejections मिले, जहाँ पे it was not easy and it was painful. If you can take us through that.
When we started, Polygon, like Jayanti, JD was, working on the programming side of it. And I was actually, before that, I was building a lot of D apps for the people, right? As a consultant, like just to get my hands dirty and all that. And then I was thinking, now I have to do some product. When I met JD and, he was working on this infrastructure thing, I said, this is something that is needed. I think it will work. Let's join hands. We join hands, and, then we started and all that. Just immediately once after we started, at that time there was another mania in Web3, like ICO mania. Everybody was left, right, and center raising money. And again, like I'm telling you, this again drew the same decision that I had two options. So when we started, ICO mania was there. We could have easily gone and raised $15 million, $20 million from outside, right? Because Polygon was set up from the very start outside company, that we could have raised like 15, 20 million. That was the norm in the industry at that point in time. And but we decided that no, we will not do it. We will do it in a different way, because at that time everybody was simply posting a white paper and saying, I will build this air castle, but just raising money, and then nothing happens with that. So that time we decided, no, we will actually go on the test net, then only launch. When we have a product, then only we'll raise the money. So we raise very small amount actually. And then we went to this competition of a big, crypto influencer and all that, who was coming to India. And there also we won the first prize. And he promised that I will invest $3 million in your in your project, right? And that time also, once we won the competition, other people started coming to us and telling us that, this is not like, this is like dirty money, actually, the influencer based money and all that. This is basically, they are involved in the, pumping the tokens and all that. So don't take that money. Few people advise that. Few people said, no, 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 take this, because there is a bear market coming in. You might not be able to take this money again. But that time also this decision had to come, right? So whether, if we had taken that money, we will also become a dead project eventually, because the token economics becomes completely haywired and then you can't do it. So so we refused that money. And after that, there was a huge, kind of bear market came in. We tried to raise that money. The people in Silicon Valley were still raising money, like doing the same project. But we sitting here in India, like almost everybody discarded. And I think even in the bear market, where they have 10 projects, where they see, okay, team, this, that, background, where they are like, they're from Stanford and all that, obviously they chose those projects, those teams too. And plus this Indian kind of thing also, for the longest time, not only for the VCs, but in the larger Twitterati media also, it was always like this, that this is like an infrastructure hardcore software project. Like, Indian teams can't build it, right? Like, this, they used to call it, like, there is a term for us called Pajit, right? Like Pajit. They call it Pajeet. It's a common term for Indians. It says, like, I think it has come from pajama chap or something like that.
Oh.
And yes, there was like a big session, like big time, like it used to be with us. And on the
Sandeep,
Twitter.
agar ek cheez, ek second, if I can interrupt you here, you tell me that conviction, right? When everyone is going towards something where there is clearly a pot of gold immediately, but nahi wo decision lena aur khud ke conviction pe rehna, wo kaise hua? How? What was that process? What was the thinking? What was the mindset at that time?
Yeah, like, I mean, to be honest, it looks like a story now that, oh, you rejected that. At that point, when we rejected, like, I used to, shiver in my this thing, right? Okay, how am I going to fund the, like, JD and team? They are doing so good work and all that. This is my responsibility to get money and then make sure everything is happening and all that. And I and JD were both, like, at times will try to do it and all that, but there was nothing. So today it looks very glamorous that, oh, you left that. But that time it was like, it's not like I had this, like, 100-0. It was like 51-49. Which one you should choose, right? Multiple days have been spent, going here and there and constantly thinking about that in the back of your mind. So it was not that clear. And one can argue that if you would have raised that money and then, just survive the bear market, just survived any kind of pressure from these guys to launch the token, we would have still made it, maybe we would have made it earlier than this. Like, actually, we could have been much bigger, but we were delayed because we did not have funding. We had a very small team, and we were delayed by 6 more months. So it's arguable, that conviction and all those things I'm saying. I think the only thing that helps, like, is that core principles. Like, again, core principles is a very fancy term, but I'm just saying, probably maybe the jid, like, no, I will not do the small thing. Like, this will make it small. Like, or maybe the other mental hack in my mind, or not mental hack, but how I feel is, if I see something and I see there is a limit to something, right? If I'm doing this, let's say this will make me, or this will have a revenue of $2 million, $3 million. But if there's a limit that it will not go beyond, like, if let's say I'm doing something which is making $2 million in revenue, and you tell me that immediately, Sandeep, you can do it tomorrow, this will make you $100 million, but there is a limit that you will not go beyond $100 million for the next full of your life, I will definitely not choose it. I will choose even that where you have 100K revenue. I'll choose $100 million for this, because just for the possibility of this limitlessness, right? Like, I can make 1 billion from this, like, revenue, I'm saying. So I think that was also this thing. Like, I thought that if we take that money, that will limit our potential and limit our kind of success that we could. So that is more of the conviction. It's not like, I was like, no, we are doing the right thing, we should keep going on this path. This was not the conviction. The conviction was, if I do this, I will not be as big as, or there will be a ceiling to our what we can do, right? Let's not do it. Let's do the other thing, even if it's more painful. But the ceiling is not there. We could be much bigger from there.
So, I'm just going back to the thing that you said early on and what you thought very early on कि जो भी करना है वो बड़ा करना है, छोटा नहीं करना है.
Correct. And this same thought has guided me so many places. Like, even though I got made fun of, like even in my college last year, like, we got selected for building a software for the BJP Delhi at that time. Like, because we were building something for our university and they needed something like that. We got selected there and this thing. And that there were also, I was like, after this, we're going to do this. It will be like, 10 lakh project, 50 lakhs or 1 crore rupee project we'll get probably and all that. And they started, like, some of my friends actually made, like my good friends, but they used to make fun of, ki ho gayi teri crore ki deal. Ho gayi, even till like 2015, 16, they will, make fun. Like, it's on my WhatsApp messages, right? Like, ho gayi teri kar liya crore ka. And then we actually, when we really made it, like Polygon became $1 billion, then I posted that, ho gayi bhai.
What are some of the things that you think, of course, this mindset, but what are some of the things that have played in your favor, things that you made, happen that has got you to be here?
I think this thought that, like, one, this guiding principle, ke chota nahi karna hai. The second thing is, I think what Steve Jobs also said in his famous thing, that, the dots do not connect looking forward. They always connect looking backward.
Yeah.
And one important part, I also live by that. Like, even my smallest of decisions, like hiring a nanny for my kid, right? I use that, is this thing is that he said that never settle. And that's a very intricate thing. You don't really realize what he's thinking. Maybe, oh, don't settle in your career and all that. But he's saying is that when you want to take a decision, don't settle for something mediocre, right? So even when my wife was like, okay, this nanny is good enough, she's working fine. I'm like, no, she's not the best. Let's keep looking. And then we found a nanny. Like, now we are like, lucky that, okay, we found her. Right, like, and now she also says that, if we had not tried more, we would have not found this, right? Like, it has completely changed the the growth pattern and the kind of happiness of the child, right? Like, because she's able to anticipate that, this is going to be wrong and all that. So those kind of things I'm saying. So never settle kind of thing also has been one thing I would say, because every time we do something, we have some adoption or some people building on Polygon. Many of the time I see the US companies, they start with a very heavy, kind of rigor. Once they reach a particular, threshold point where they think that they've made it, they will immediately lose the, they will lose the momentum. They will, like, people be like, okay, they'll start acting more like, like, we have to do it in this way, that way and all that. Whereas we, like, we never settle. We say, no, this is nothing. This is like Web3, the whole space, even though we have 40,000 applications built on Polygon, but we know that this is the whole space is just, just getting started. And also, like, again, chota nahi khelunga wali situation. Once I reach the peak and I see what is in front of me, I still feel I'm really, really small, right?
Yeah.
And that also drives, now that, like, okay, still we have come here, but to be honest, like, that day zero attitude, I think, like, there's some day zero attitude, like from Amazon or something, where I think I can feel that attitude, because for my core team, people around me, they immediately, they don't think like, okay, we have made it big already. Like, they always think like, okay, we are at zero, like, from here. And also the second thing, I what keeps me also up at night is that you also said na ki India se koi matlab aise hamare soft, although, like, Freshworks is there and all that, but these are not like mainstream mass projects or kind of Uber, Google kind of brands. अब आप सोचो कि हम Polygon यहाँ तक आ गया on a global scale पे, यहाँ पे आ गया, right, which is 50, let's say, out of 100, if 100 is a success parameter. And imagine, इससे पहले लोग maybe 10-20 तक आ पाए हैं, right? इससे पहले imagine, like, हम यहाँ से आके fail हो जाते हैं and we fizzle out, right? Then next time, from this whole subcontinent, next time a company is coming and it reaches still 50, people will still discredit it. Like, no. Bro, remember Polygon also came, they will fizzle out. These guys can't build it, can't make it sustainable and long-term, company and things like that, right? Or long-term project, or whatever you want to call it in the Web3 space. So that also is that chip on the shoulder that we have to make it there. once we make it there, then like, like somebody tweeted also in the Web3 community, like in the recent token 2049, that, now Indians have a mad respect in Singapore in the Web3 space, because like he said that this is due to Polygon and all that. But I think because of some of our founders, including Polygon, some of the companies, they have done something on the global scale. Like there are other applications also who are doing something. So people don't want to miss those entrepreneurs in terms of investments and all that. And I think that's also is very satisfying, because when we went through the kind of disrespectful kind of thing, when the VCs are not even coming on the call. One VC, I was actually pitching in a conference, and he was going, he said, I have to pick up the Uber, and Uber was like, maybe 200 meters. I said, okay, just give me this time, like 200 meters. He said, bro, I have already heard you, like this is not happening,
Wow.
that kind of thing.
Wow. This was
So
in India or outside?
it was in Singapore in December 2018. And this has been already 1.5 years that we have been toiling
So
through
how
this.
did you process that at that moment? You
No,
know,
it was disrespectful. Like you get
yeah.
sad, you feel like, even now I'm feeling like bit like, crying kind of mode.
Yeah.
And but like you kind of gather yourself and you're like, okay, but I also made to myself that my personal mission is that next time, like once we make it, then this is not going to happen to Indian entrepreneurs anymore. And I
Wow.
think after that, like if you see today in Web3 space, like now the markets are fully bad. But 6 months back, lot of people were doing Web3, and if you are an Indian founder, you're doing anything, you will get funding. Like I actually tweeted somewhere that the brown discount has become brown premium in Web3. This happened for quite a long time.
But Sandeep, kudos to you. And I'm sure everyone watching you, listening to you, all the young boys in colleges, girls, everyone today, and I'm not saying you just young people, everyone would say, because you're just creating a category, you're creating a framework, you're creating a reference sabke liye. Do you feel that?
Uh, you don't feel like that. You don't feel at all, because you are looking that side, like you are not looking behind, and now I think this all, like, kind of expectations from the Indian community and all that is also very, like, kind of a responsibility also. Like you can
Yes.
see it in a very different way, that now if we fail, like, the suicide is an only option after that. Like, what do
No,
you do?
no, no, no,
What do
no,
you do?
no, no. I
No,
would say no, because you have
no, no,
created एक दायरा बना,
no,
एक नया
I'm just,
दायरा create कियो. Yes.
yeah, sorry to use that word, that feeling, but I feel that pressure at times, that,
Responsibility.
there is no way that we can fail. Like, I'm very, and the other part is also, like, as you said, that you're creating a category, like now Polygon, where Polygon is, it's not only because of Indian people, I would say, right? Like, we, out of 4 co-founders, three of us are Indian. There's one guy from Serbia. And then we also onboarded new teams, like we gave them co-founder structure. Like this is also our Indian, kind of, what do you say, like the openness, or Vasudev Kutumbakam and all that. Nobody would acquire companies and then, like get everyone, the founders there as a co-founder status. But
Yeah.
we have 10 co-founders actually in that way, right?
Wow.
So we onboarded them, we gave them a co-founder of their own product category, right? So because, this is Web3. This is not like building a company which is a part of a geography or controlled by 3 people, 4 people. This is, you are building a protocol for everyone. This is an open, permissionless protocol. So we have to think like that also and behave like that also. And I feel, that's why I feel that in this particular kind of category, the Web3 category, Indian entrepreneurs, because our natural culture is like that. We
Yeah.
are, like, somehow I feel that we are slightly more giving, slightly more. I'm not saying that we are like everybody is a Mahatma here and all that, but I'm saying that generally in our system we have like joint families and all that. We enjoy sharing stuff, right? And I think that's the spirit of Web3, and that's why, like, I am very bullish that Indian entrepreneurs are going to do a lot of great things. And other part, like other Indian angle also into this, like, because this is an Indian podcast, so I can say, otherwise, like, Polygon is very global, and to the kind of success of Polygon, a lot of non-Indian people have played a lot of role in that, right? So let me be that very clear on that. But on the Indian side, like, you see so many projects being converted, like, Starbucks, and Instagram is coming, integrating with Polygon, and then Stripe, and so many things, right? But more often than not, what happens is that on the other side, on the evaluation team, it's a tech team, there are Indians, right? And immediately we become like, I become friends with them, right? Like somehow like this, there's a chord that strikes, and then they also become our kind of evangelists. Like, of course, they are professionals. They are not going to say, no, use this, but they give us a fair chance. And that fair chance is all what we need. Before that, we never had that fair chance. And now where Polygon is, like, I think like this is the best part that has happened to us. And it's only like I would have dreamed about it, is that, now a lot of people, even outside, they feel proud about Polygon, that, okay, this is the Indian co-founder led company, right? And then this gives them a feeling of attachment. I think a lot of people actually try to help us in whatever way possible, that we crack some of those some of those accounts, clients, and all that.
Absolutely. Sandeep, that you seem like very mission driven and very missionary when it comes to Web3 and Web3 and the future. But आज भी देखो, the world में still there is a skepticism, and especially when the market has crashed. अभी मैं कही कि NFT खत्म हो गया. Like this prediction, there's always prediction on everything, but still some of the top most people, influencers in the world have a point of view. I want you today, तुम बहुत बार बोल चुके हो, अगर तुम्हें बताना है हम सबको कि Web3 definitely is not just the future, it's the reality, then क्या बोलोगे?
यार मतलब ये थोड़ी लंबी बात है, इसको शॉर्ट फॉर्म में कहना मुश्किल है, बट मैं 2-3 चीजें बोलता हूँ। पहली बात तो ये जो अभी है ना कि ये NFT खत्म हो गया और ये खत्म हो गया, ये मैं क्योंकि साइकिल्स देख चुका हूँ ये वाली, तो ये आती हैं जाती हैं। साइकिल जब पीक हाइप पे होती है तो बहुत कुछ होता है, बट NFT खत्म होने के बाद भी, जिसे लोग खत्म होने के बाद खत्म हो गया बोल रहे हैं, उसके बाद भी जो NFT के वॉल्यूम्स हैं कोई बहुत खराब नहीं हुए हैं। लाइक अभी भी 300, 400, 500 मिलियन, $500 बिलियन, और वो भी ईथ में, क्योंकि ईथ का प्राइस डाउन हो गया, बट अदरवाइज द नंबर्स आर स्टिल देयर। and gaming and all these industries are coming in. But I think the larger, जो आप बोल रहे हो ना कि the larger kind of influencers and a lot of thinkers, Web2 thinkers, and it is also right because they are the thinkers of unit economics, like X money in, Y money out, Y minus X is greater than this and all that. They are all right. And they are like, okay, what is the problem that Web3 is solving? And it happens all the time. Like when you have a peak hype cycle, it happened with e-commerce also. Yeah. They're just discounting the fact कि ये सब कुछ उनके Web2 world में भी हुआ है हर जगह, ठीक है? Every kind of category that you see now EV के साथ वो हो रहा होगा. तो and then कि भाई ये Web3 is trying to solve a problem which does not exist. Like this is one thing I want to address, that Web3 is not trying to solve a new problem actually. Web3 is not saying कि ये social media world बनाएंगे हम, तो that problem is already solved. Twitter, Facebook सब कुछ है, but how those platforms are built, how those problems have been solved is what Web3 stands for. Like what we are saying is कि अभी तक हम ये जो पूरा हमारी जो सोसाइटी बन गई है आज, इससे पहले किंग हुआ करते थे, किंग के बाद नेशन स्टेट्स, एंड देन आफ्टर दैट इंस्टीट्यूशंस, एंड देन वी आर इन द डिजिटल वर्ल्ड. बट हम जो कुछ भी कर रहे हैं, दैट वी डू इट इन अ via a third party. Even you and me are talking, we are communicating via Zoom. And yeah. Zoom से कि यार ये मैं भी अपना टोकन निकाल रहा हूँ, ये संदीप का इंटरव्यू डिलीट कर दो उसमें से, right? So they are in the control. Maybe they are listening to it. You and me don't know, right? So we have to trust some third party. And what Web3 is saying is that remove this third party from the middle, and this infrastructure is, rather than one single party running it as a black box, like these banks, like Credit Suisse के बारे में हम सुन रहे हैं, right? The multiple $trillion bank, now suddenly you know that, okay, they have screwed up big time in the last 5-6 years, right? So this cannot happen in Web3. Like in DeFi space, whenever this was happening, you already knew that this protocol is over leveraged. And actually some of the market participants will hunt for those over leveraged positions. So they will have to balance themselves earlier because it's all open. So it's not about Web3 solving a new problem. Like collectibles is not something that Web3 collectibles की problem Web3 solve नहीं कर रहा है. But Web3, how that collectibles are done in the current world and how they are done in this Web3 world is what Web3 is trying to solve. और वो कोई silver bullet नहीं है. But the point being, when you see it, like let me give you an example. Like आपके पास Twitter हो, first principles, you have Twitter, two kind of Twitters, both have equal user interface, both have some network effects. One Twitter is controlled by like this current Twitter management and all that. They can ban anybody, they can remove. As an influencer also, like you are also influencer. Imagine you have 100,000 followers They can anytime you say something wrong, let's say about some country, and there are some countries where the government will come after you and get it banned. Even like sometimes it can happen with a lot of governments now. So you have this kind of Twitter, and then you have this decentralized Twitter where you own your followers. You can move out anytime from this platform if they are not providing you good UI services and all that. You directly get the revenue made by your followers. Like you are making the revenue from followers, you get it directly, and then you give some part from that to the platform. Like platform is not governing your which Twitter will you choose. Like as a normal user, first principle, 200% you will choose this more decentralized. Same goes with the game, same goes with any kind of application like finance, bank. Would you like to keep your money in, let's say, Yes Bank, where suddenly one day you got to know 2 years back that you can withdraw only 50,000, or you would want to keep it in a custody where that this money is actually there. This is not like fraction reserve money and all that, and it's not like some cloud money. So not solving new problems, how these problems are solved. And when you get into it, you clearly realize that this is not a technology, this is an evolution of human beings. And I can tell you with 200% confidence, not 100%, 200%, that this is happening. No matter what you say, you believe it, not believe it. This is how, because the humanity will evolve. When these better solutions, better experiences are coming in, all these apps will change into or slowly start migrating into it. Maybe it will not be a new category. The existing ones will move into this.
So Sandeep, one question I had, ye Guardian ya pata nahi kahan pe, I had read a very good article that, the big tech companies, chahe wo Meta ho, Google ho, Apple ho, today one of the biggest investors, developers or proponents of Web3 are these companies, as in they're investing in future and they're putting a lot of capital, a lot of resource into it. To keh rahe ki shayad 10 saal baad जो हमने when we imagine Web2, it was also digital YourStory. I started also traditional media से अलग क्योंकि एक सस्ते दाम में शुरू कर सकते हैं. So it started on a good principle, but then it started being governed by the big players. And now with these same guys investing in it, there is this whole thing that tomorrow will it also become in some way controlled? What is your view on this?
See, there is a possibility that they will have a higher say in this. But there is no possibility that it will be fully controlled by any single party, because the game theory works over there. Like when Google is doing it, imagine Microsoft is also doing it. And then Facebook is also doing it. Like Twitter is also doing it. Tesla is also doing it. So they will, at the end, the game theory, if you apply game theory, it will always, like the markets will reach an equilibrium. So I don't believe in this one, that one single party or few people will govern it that much. Even if, let's say, there are some places where they start governing a larger chunk of some protocol and all that, but how do you govern? Like, I'll give you a practical example. So you need to own large number of those tokens and shares if you want to govern a particular protocol, right? So imagine you are owning $1 billion, like Microsoft is owning $1 billion of this token of this protocol, and they are doing whatever they want to do. But what will happen immediately? You are owning $1 billion, the $1 billion of those tokens. If this protocol is acting in a way where one single party controls everything, then people will stop believing in that protocol. That value will tank like crazy. So it's in your favor also, even as an owner, even if you have control, but to not exercise it in a way where, it will wreck the protocol, because you will lose also a big amount of money, right? So the control is coming with direct financial consequences. That's why game theory is one of the fundamental concepts in Web3.
If you had to say India, and I really think about, हम सोचते हैं $5 trillion economy होंगे. India has become now, 5th largest economy in the world. How do you see Web3, and what would you like to say to us as Indians, as a country? What are some of the things that you see as possibilities for India? And especially मैं इस context में पूछती हूँ jobs के लिए, right? क्योंकि jobs इतने अच्छे engineers हो रहे हैं, jobs कहाँ होंगे? और तुम Web3 को कैसे देख रहे हो इस context में?
Yes. So I think one thing that you can easily do a survey that is happening in India is, due to Web3 and like other larger, economic forces also, that, we are becoming more and more borderless. Web3 is fundamentally borderless. And what is happening is that now when there is even, not even engineers, but even community guys, like I know community manager is making $100,000, 80 lakh rupees per year salary. And he or she, actually 2 years pass out from the college, like 2 years of experience, 80 lakh rupees salary.
अभी तो
Like,
हम सब चले जाएंगे उधर.
yes, so that is what is happening with Web3 actually. So it is a great equalizer. And sometimes even like when we had someone previously from India and all that, and now we had some people from outside, some of our team members are like, like I am actually better than this guy. And this guy is getting, let's say, because they are getting dollar salary, right? In San Francisco, 150K. But in India, it's like 1.2 crores. And this guy, like, the Indian guy is like 3 year college graduate, right? Who pays like 1.2 crores as a salary? But then this is like, if we don't pay it, somebody else will pay and somebody else will take it, right? So for job, it's absolutely killer thing for Indian developers, like, real value for their talent, right? So that's why a lot of talent, engineering talent, and everywhere, like, people are coming into the Web3. So that's one thing. The second thing, I feel that where it is the maximum potential for us is, it has maximum potential for us is that the Indian startups previously, right? They, like Flipkart, for example, built in India and all that. By the time Amazon will come into India, bring in billions of dollars into India, create a lot of pressure on them and all that. And Flipkart also has to go now to raise that kind of money, or they will crumble against Amazon, right? But here, like, this flux is actually coming from outside into India. Whereas in this particular mode, in Web3, the flux is actually going out of India. Like, Indian developers are going outside. They can raise money from outside capital, venture capitalist people, and then build it for the world, instead of, like, people having foreign money and coming and deploying that into India. We from India can take a product, go out, raise money, and then deploy it there. So I feel that there's an immense potential for some big Indian companies to become like really global brands. Like, I don't feel that Polygon will be the only global brand. Like, in the next 4, 5, 6 years, you will see a lot of Indian founders. I'm not saying these will be Indian companies. They will be based outside, but actually for these decentralized protocol, it doesn't matter where they are based. It's actually more of a DAO. It's on chain, and there are like non-profit foundations. But I feel that a lot of Indian entrepreneur-led teams will come, and they will become global brands in the next 5, 7 years. So that is also a biggest opportunity for India. And I think, like, if our government, I think the current government is progressive in the sense that they want to implement these systems, technology and all that, right, for more transparency and all that. And this is a transitory period, which is very tough for everyone, right? So I think government can also adopt these blockchain based systems in India. For example, like, give you a very simple example, like, we know how many times we hear of these cases where there is, in some village, there's some rape happened for someone, and then police is not even registering the FIR.
Yeah.
They even registered and they will tear out the paper and whatnot, right? But if, let's say, there was some kind of system who puts this complaint on blockchain, nobody can delete it now. Like, neither the commissioner of that state, neither like whoever, DCP, PCP, whatever that, So that kind of system, imagine the benefit that kind of system. Like, there was an attempt also from one of the teams called Guhar. They actually built this thing for Chhattisgarh Naxal affected areas, where with a simple mobile phone, people could register their complaint, and this will directly go, using the blockchain or that, directly go to the IS officers at the most senior office, because otherwise their complaint, the manual complaint from paper, will never even travel two layers above them, and they will get, like, killed for that. So lot of things like that, right? Like, I mean, these like,
तो ये अभी गुहार अभी कर रहा है क्या, ग्रो किया है?
No, I don't think they also pivoted because there was no money in that. Like, they could not find this thing. But I think application is still running in that, and I think that's a story. These kind of stories should be, kind of celebrated, so that they get more, visibility and everything.
Every woman, not just Indian, every woman will relate that there is, and anyone who's marginalized in any way will relate to the power. This to me is a very practical superpower of having a Web3 platform.
यस आप ये सोचो कि इंडिया में, अगेन मैं आपको एक और एग्जांपल लेता हूं, क्योंकि हमारे साथ तो हुआ है, क्योंकि उत्तराखंड में हम लोग, मतलब मैं जहां से आता हूं, लोग काफी मेलोड डाउन होते हैं, लड़ाई झगड़े वाले लोग नहीं है, राइट? तो मेरे दादाजी का, सोचो आप, वो 40 साल की जॉब करके, और वो महीने की 200 रुपए इनकम से उन्होंने 1-2 दिल्ली में कहीं पे वो खरीदे घर, मतलब एक घर खरीदा, और वो घर पे भी कब्जा हो गया, किसी ने कब्जा कर लिया आसपास के। क्यों? हाउ डू यू डू इट? यू जस्ट गो टू द लोकल लैंड डिपार्टमेंट, उसके साथ एक फेक पेपर लिखवा लो कि ये तो मैंने खरीद लिया था, right?
Yeah.
And now that guy says, I also have a paper. Then you go to court. Everybody knows that court, our courts are inundated. Like, it will take 10 years. By that time, where do you live, right? So this land record itself, like in India, it's a huge problem. I think, like, I don't, like, it must be happening in other countries also, but in India, I see that this problem to be, this is like a business model for a lot of people. Absolutely. That they have some connection there, they will get some people, some goons, they will go to the land, they will get a fake paper, and now there's a dispute, it goes into the court. So even my friend recently had to, like, some time back, he had to, like, settle outside of the court. This is the business model, that you get into a dispute with this one and then get extra money. These kind of things can be solved, like land records and all that can be blockchain. You can't say, because that no local guy can change it without the proper signatures from me and all that, right? Or like the actual owner of this. So that is also another big thing. And overall also, like, I think India, we are a great country, great culture and all that, but somehow in the last, I don't know how many, like maybe centuries, but especially after our independence also, there is a lot of still, like, there's a lot of systematic corruption and all that, right? A lot of things can be, the blockchains actually makes you publicly accountable, right? Even though you don't see the data, but some journalists can put a report that, hey guys, on this Jal board of Delhi, there are 10,000 pending complaints which don't get resolved in the last, which haven't got resolved in the last 1.5 years, even though you want to protect those details. But those dashboards, public dashboards can be built, and local communities can have a dashboard that all these complaints are there, none is getting solved over there and all that. So a lot of accountable governance can come in. I have a lot of things in my mind for that, but that's this thing. And then it will need a lot of, I think, willpower from the government bodies to actually try out some of
While
those.
you were saying this, one thought came to my mind, and I just want to ask before I miss this. कहीं तुम आगे चल के अपने आप को, do you see yourself playing a role in politics, in governance, in government?
Not politics, like the active politics per se, but like, if, let's say, the way Nandan Nilekani sir has contributed to, let's say, Aadhaar, if they create this kind of forum where people like us can come and then contribute in something, where definitely I would like to come, like,
Like for public good.
Yes,
Yeah.
for public good specifically, where some lives can be changed. Like this whole COVID thing, the COVID fund I started and all that, like, this is basically because when I was in Dubai at that time. I recently, come to Dubai, and I saw the people like enjoying here and all that. And then you see some of the pictures being floated in WhatsApp where a 25-year-old, like, young adult guy is dying in the hands of his mother and all that. You realize that, it's painful, and you realize that these things are like just due to the system. Some life is getting wasted somewhere because of the system. I know it's a practically very hard problem to solve, but constant, self-improvement is the only way to go. So, and I think Web3 adds a lot of things over there.
How do you keep yourself balanced? What are some of the tools? What are some of the things that you do to keep yourself in the best mind frame, heart frame, emotion frame?
I think, like, for me, like, I am a wrong person to preach the balance thing, because people who know me closely, they know that balance is not something which I am like either on this side or that side, right? So I am on the
That's
extreme.
one of the most honest answers I've heard. Yeah, okay, continue.
I don't, so and I'm also, like, about this the mental kind of depression and stress issues and all that. I've been very vocal about that, and I was, like, till like 3 months back also, I was on proper, like, stress pills, like proper SSRIs, that because I was having a lot of issues, like at times very kind of unnecessarily, even though I'm everything is going fine, but I will have a sad feeling, like,
and thank you for saying this, because bahar se to lagega, oh my god, like, you are the role model, everything is going right, you the poster boy, not just in India, across the world. Then why, right? Like, that could be a question.
That's the rosy picture. It's not like that. Like, sometimes I was telling my wife, like, only after taking some medicines, I felt myself, because, like, these stress issues, when you have constantly these, stress hormones in your brain and all that, the receptors for happiness actually start, because they are not getting used for the longest time. and we had like 3-4 years of hard grind, right? Every day is an existential threat. And then, that threat of like chota nahi karunga, imagine that threat of like, kind of pressure on me that, chota nahi karna hai, koi cheez yahan tak aa gayi hai, and ab lag raha hai ki kabhi bhi zero pe bhi ja sakti hai. Matlab you are never like, you're still fighting against the ground zero, right? So ab jaake Polygon has reach a place ki bhai theek hai, agar kam bhi chota bhi hoga to एक लेवल तक रहेगा, राइट? बट उससे पहले तो जीरो पे जाने का चांस था ना पूरा. तो सोचो फिर से पूरी वो फाइट करनी है और किसी उसके लिए तो और प्रेशर क्रिएट हो. तो what I am saying is that those stress issues are there, and that's what like I would recommend people that 2-3 things recently, like after my baby, I think people, they should consider, like entrepreneurs, they should consider the baby is a natural happiness hormone thing. Like I can't can't imagine that I can actually feel that kind of happiness, like I couldn't have imagined. So that is one thing. But if you can't do that, like at least like having some sort of not workout, I find workouts boring. I find some sort of game. I found this game called paddle here, right? Which is like like garibon ka tennis. Like tennis, you need a high level of skill to enjoy it, right? Like you need to put in some. Paddle is like anybody, especially Indians, we have played with the bat and ball. Anybody can go and play. Like girls can play, boys can play, and all that. It's a very fun sport. So that is helping me a bit. I have always thought of doing meditation. I even want to come to Coimbatore with the Sadhguru and Isha Foundation and all that, maybe do a inner engineering course. But if you have time, because later on you will not get time. This is, I'm telling to the people who want to reach that stage, you will try to find that time today. And what else? Like family time, I think is also one of the, like later on you realize that all this friend circle and everything is great, but the family time is the most like kind of satisfying and joyful time that you spend. So that also I try to do, but again I have less. The last thing, what is the most important thing for us entrepreneurs, and that's what I was telling you, that all that kind of chota nahi khelunga, and then kind of that self-esteem and under self-ego brings you someplace, right? But beyond that, it starts becoming a detriment, because here also you are thinking ki main to ye hu, are mujhe bata rahe ho yaar, tum samajh rahe ho, like that kind of stuff. Like you start, then you are always debating with people, that arguing with people, with your team member, this thing, co-founders, everywhere you try, because you try to be the best, right? Like a whole life you are trying to be the best. And then you are thinking like, and I see a lot of smart people like me, and they would be like, anything they go, they are like, in their mind, they are the best. So they would try to win all the argument. Whatever is my suggestion is the best suggestion, all that. And this happens with a lot of people. And, even though I was aware of it, but that used to happen with me also, right? So for me, that thing that changed my life is where I submitted myself. Like I accepted defeat. Like, where people say, no, fight back. I'm saying, no, once you reach that place, accept defeat. Accept your humanness, that you are also a normal.
Kab kiye, because you also have this thing of never settling. So when did you settle ki defeat chalo abhi le lete इस argument में?
हाँ, मतलब defeat देखो, हाँ आप.
हाँ मैं समझ रही हूँ defeat जो कह रहे हो, कि if someone is arguing with you, it could be your colleague, right? Yes. So let them have the last sentence.
Yes, but I'm saying इसकी ये मैं inputs की बात कर रहा हूँ. Output में मैं अभी भी उतना ही relentless हूँ कि भाई output में वहीं जाना है. बट जो इनपुट करते टाइम की मैं ये हूं और मैं तो प्रोडिजी हूं और मैं ये स्मार्ट आदमी हूं, मैं मेरे को सब पता है, इसको हटा के accept that you are the biggest fool in the world, right? In any meeting room, any group chat that is happening, accept that everybody is smarter than you. So then you start listening, right? And you don't argue, and you are trying to solve the problem instead of trying to prove that I am, see how smart I am. Right? This is a problem with all the
very fantastic thing जो तुम कह रहे हो, actuality में difficult है, because it's somewhere it's like taming your own inner ego, yes, right? Having a lot more self-awareness, being present in that moment. It requires a lot of high EQ, introspection भी करना. ये बहुत mature चीज है, आसान नहीं है. तुमने
hard है. I am preaching from here, but आप ऐसा मत सोचो कि मैं 100% यहाँ पे आ गया हूँ. अभी भी मेरे अंदर की तो वही है ना, भाई मैं तो नहीं हूँ, right? I am this, but at least even if I am able to do it in 50% of the time, where I am like, I have become a much better team player. I feel now like I play for the victory of the team, not like victory of Sandeep. And that's why, like, like a lot of people, when I'm working with them, like, I'm like, okay, if you are the team leader on this, my role is to make you win, not like win for myself. My role is to make you win. And when, like, that's why I'm very, like, very happy about this. Like, some of the guys who joined Polygon as like very small level positions, right? Like, maybe even admin. One guy actually joined as an admin position, and today he's leading the Polygon Ventures fund, right? Like, this is like 100 million fund and all that, right? So those kind of things, like, because I believed in him also, and he also worked hard. It's not like, oh, I did, like, he worked really hard. But then I was like, bro, if you are putting in this kind of effort, I will make sure that you are successful. Like, I am committed to your success. And then he kept on growing and all that. So things like that, those success stories are there because of this attitude. I think that, and then later on, recently somebody told me, is that again in Indian, especially in South India, there is this theory called servant leadership. Like, there is this place in South India where the kings are actually, they live in the temple. They only wear this, thin cloth and all that. They don't even wear, shoes and all that. And they are the kings of that area. And then, that's the servant leadership attitude. I think that has helped me a lot. And that actually, when I go out of balance, that actually brings me back to the balance a bit.
Wow, this is very high level of maturity, and it looks like you are making such, while you're making phenomenal journey outside, you're also making a very tremendous amount of journey inside, within you, the inner journey that you're making. संदीप, आज अपने घर में, परिवार में, तुम अपने आप को चलो आज सक्सेसफुल जहां समझ लो तुम, because you're living in your own mind and your own journey, is how has things changed around for your family, for people around you?
For my mom and dad, I think especially my mother, like, I mean, a lot has changed. Even though she's not like, she always, even now, she, every day what she tells me, that forget, like, you have some money now, for like, leave all of this thing and just enjoy. Like, her brother is enjoy. When will you enjoy the life, right? Like, enjoyment.
That's
like,
mother. Yes.
So, but yes, this is like, they feel very proud and, feel very happy about it. And then the main thing is, like, in those days, like, there are a lot of things, like, we, in the childhood story, my father, even coming in that area, that a lot of these, ghetto areas and all that, where the man actually of the house will get into drinking habits, which is very destructive to the house. And that's what, like, I mean, you were saying that I've done a lot of journey inside, but that's not because I want to do that, because there is a lot of suffering also in that long and arduous journey.
Were people around you drinking when you were growing up?
Oh, of course, like, all the time. My father would come to home, like, all the time, domestic violence. And then, then he got into gambling. So he's making like 5,000 rupees, 6,000 rupees mahine, and then out of that, like, like the day salary comes, half of it is already gone or something like that. Only like hand to mouth kind of situation is there, right? So
नहीं करना है, मुझे पता चल रहा है कहाँ से, एक वहां से भी तो आया होगा. To make it.
So negativity, actually you were saying कि ये जो positivity feed होती है, but there is a lot of negativity also that gives you learning. Like, I was very clear कि मेरे को ये नहीं बनना है, और मेरे घर में 3-4 बड़े examples. I had 3-4 big examples that ये तो नहीं बनना है अपने को. And even now today, after doing all of this work, like, my family would be take some rest and all that. If I take rest for 2 days, I will feel like, oh, am I becoming this mama? Like, no. I will not become a lazy person, right? Like, who's like unemployed the whole life because they just want to sleep the whole day, right? So that kind of stuff happens. So that learning is there. But what I was saying is that in those days, like, when my father went into like deep darkness into these things and all that, the society, like this Uttarakhand society, where not society, I mean the local clan where we were living, some of the people, because my grandfather also died by that time, and my grandfather, because he was the servant of this guy, so he had some money compared to that lower middle class or whatever, that ghetto society, right? So some of the people then even stopped responding to my namaste, right? When I say uncle namaste, they will just, so that time I promised to myself that when I will become big person, I will not do this, I will not change myself.
You know, I want to hug you to this camera. What a journey! What a journey! And what a guy! And what a,
So
you know,
now,
that's why your EQ, I think, somewhere comes from there, right?
yeah, but like I was saying that you were talking about the mother and father. So that time, like we, like I can, like this is emotional stuff, but I also felt in those days, like, if it would be so great if there was some help somewhere, right? So now I feel that I can do that help. So my parents, I have given them free hand, like wherever you find. I know there are some, somebody is getting married, which I know the lady, the girl, and all that, like, we are giving some, donating some money, that shadi ka jod, and generously donating, so that इनकी शादी हो रही है, किसी का कोई business set हो. So I think that is the part they are also more happy about, because they get, when they go there now, they are like chief guest, right? Because they have donated and all that. So that's the fun part which I like for them.
Two things, if you could tell me. One is that what's the, like, what's the vision, like, before we have next conversation, Polygon ke saath abhi kya soch rahe ho? And second thing is that what would you like to tell all the young people, and especially entrepreneurs or young startups jo abhi soch rahe ho, funding nahi hai, it's very tough, and people who have this victim mindset also कि मेरे साथ क्यों ऐसा हो रहा है. दो चीजें, एक अपनी कंपनी पॉलीगॉन के साथ हम क्या देख सकते हैं अगले कुछ महीनों में, एंड दूसरा व्हाट वुड यू लाइक टू टेल पीपल, एवरीवन हु इज लिसनिंग टू यू.
For Polygon, see, you saw the humble part and all that, like, but in us, like, that's our journey, and I think our whole team is like that, like not only me, uh, but there is also a warrior spirit in us, like, make no mistake, like we are not going to leave any stone unturned. And my goal, and I think now it's like the everyone's goal, is that we want to become the top 3 platform in the world, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Polygon should be the biggest protocols in the world. And everybody's putting in a lot of efforts for that, so not only me. And
We
yeah,
should
so
have loud music in this. Yay! This is like whole country should be cheering, whole world should be cheering for this journey. Yes.
Yes, yes. That kind of relentless kind of ness is also there. Like if you see, we are very humble. It's a part of our culture that we humble, humility. We always think for everyone else is like partners' victory instead of our victory. But then when it comes to the real thing, like our real goals, we are also relentless. So we want to reach there. And those people who are, like, I mean, you said about inspiration and all that. In my mind, I'm thinking, I'm not even thinking about the being inspiration and all that. I am like fighting my own demons and own like kind of suffering and all that, right? There are so many demons you have. So I think, like, for everyone else who's like having those situations, like, all I can say is that, I mean, if I don't know whether I, this word, like, I was a very fucked up child, I would say, in that sense, right? So, and then I think, like, those things can be tamed. Like I have tamed them. And I think if you also have those demons, you can also tame them. You just, I think you need to have that burning desire where you want to reach. If you have that burning desire, everything else is solvable. So, that victim mentality and all that, even if you have that, accept that also, like, just accept that yes, okay, I have extra hard luck on me.
Yeah.
And then, find your journey from here, like, accept the rock bottom, like this is the part I'm saying, accept all the negative, like I'm the most stupid person and this, accept, okay, now what, this is the input, right? But output, you still fight for the biggest output that you want to do and start your journey from there. Accept, like, don't fight with them, just accept all your demons, that yes, they are there, I am stupid fool, but I will win. And then step by step towards go towards there.
Sandeep Nailwal, you've come, you've talked, and you've conquered. इतनी authentic, इतनी raw और इतने powerful है ये conversation. I don't think, मतलब मैं बोलना नहीं चाहती हूँ ज़्यादा, because I think all of us are experiencing this, have experienced this conversation. So thank you. More power to you. Genuinely rooting for you to be the top 3 platforms in the world, and keep making this inner journey, because yeah, just being you is an inspiration for so many, and today I am very inspired. Thank you.